Gateway chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. So we're excited to have this networking opportunity for you here today, paired with some education. So today we have some members and some non-members of our chapter. So I just want to thank you all for joining us. Our chapter, like many other nonprofits throughout the country, rely on funding, and the biggest source is through our memberships. So if you aren't already a member, I would really encourage you to join our chapter membership. There are many different levels in order for you to join that can be ranging in affordability. So if you are already a member, I would encourage you to renew your membership. So don't forget to do that. The goal of our coffee breaks are to provide an opportunity for our community to engage in conversational hot topics over a cup of coffee. So I hope everybody has their cup of joe. So in a short 30-minute break, our theme for today's conversation is weatherization, healthy homes. Today I'm excited to have you here and have a couple of our special guests to provide some insights for us. So Richard Reilly is the energy programs manager of the Missouri Botanical Garden's EarthWays Center. Richard is a certified energy auditor and health home evaluator. The most recent energy efficiency and sustainable intersections. Most recently, he's had experience with energy efficiency and sustainable intersections with social justice work, which Richard is involved in with the St. Louis Healthy Homes and Energy Efficiency Coalition. And George Robnett of Community Action Agency of St. Louis is also here today. He's going to share with us some information about his agency and their mission as well. So just some overall guidelines to get you kind of aware of our coffee breaks. The option to click the grid view to see everybody is in your right-hand corner. Maybe that's right, maybe this is right, okay. But to see more callers, our chat function is accessible below in order to click on that to be able to communicate that way. I would just really ask everyone to please be respectful of others, allow others to join in the conversation, and be mindful of not jumping over anyone speaking. But really feel free to talk through without really being called upon. But if you have something to say and you want to add to the conversation but not interrupt someone else, feel free to do a little kind of like one of the little reaction buttons below, and I'll kind of mark to be able to get back to you. I would also ask that you try to mute yourself unless speaking to avoid any background noise. And without further ado, Richard, take us away.
All righty. Well, I think first and foremost, I want to give credit where credit is due, and thanks so much to Spire for being a funder of a lot of the energy efficiency work that I do. And I want you all to think about any upgrades you do around the house to use the rebates that are available from both Spire and Ameren if we're customers around here. It's just makes sense to save money while we're on our path to greater comfort and energy efficiency. So with all that said, we're going to see if I can move a slide. I think that, you know, we spend like 90% of our time indoors these days, and while we're working from home, we're spending 90% of our time indoors at home. So for what it's worth, this is my little workspace, and it's a challenge to try and keep it in good shape and keep things going. But I thought I'd provide this to give you a little context. And so with regards to do-it-yourself stuff and energy efficiency and healthy homes, you know, it's good to understand the principles and work from there. It's kind of like Mulder and Scully, right? You know, the truth is out there. So what we can't cover today, figure there's good information out there, and I hope that my email is shared with everybody. So you can ask me any questions that you might have moving along if you're vetting information you find on the internet, etc. But really, it's important to understand 8 elements of a healthy home and how these intersect with energy efficiency principles. So BPI's Healthy Home Principles, that is the Building Performance Institute, works on its keep its strategies. So keeping it clean, dry, pest-free, contaminant-free, safe, ventilated, and ventilation is a big, big, big intersection between energy efficiency and healthy homes. Keeping it comfortable, right? So that is your insulation, is your heating and cooling equipment doing its job, and to keep it maintained so that things don't start to fall apart on you are really important 8 basic principles of intersections with energy efficiency and health at home. So again, I'm going to have to refer you because of the whole deal with time to consider analyzing a do-it-yourself project of your base load versus seasonal consumption. So if you look up how to analyze your utility bills and how to figure out your base load use of all your water heating, refrigeration, entertainment, etc., compared to your cooling and heating needs, you can start to figure out, all right, are my big problems in my base load or in my heating and cooling system? So relative to my building envelope and equipment, and you can figure out a lot of stuff from there for sure. So you can do these calculations with a bunch of stuff by gathering your utility bills, and you can end up comparing, right? Hey, most folks are spending about 43%, right? So between 40 and 50% on heating and cooling and their total energy consumption. Am I way above that? Am I way below that? And it gives you the opportunity then to start pinpointing things that you can see and maybe do something about around the house. So another big do-it-yourself thing is envelope inspection, right? So I've done a lot of teaching with architecture students at the graduate level at Washington U, just coming in for a quick lecture. And one of the things when they're getting ready to design this, that, or the other thing, or remodel a project, or look around an existing building, is envelope inspection, right? So I would tell the design students to be the water when they're thinking about designing this. And the same thing would occur for you walking around the house. Where does water land when it enters your property, from the sky or any other place? What does it touch? How does it travel? Where does it end up? Because if you'll see this picture of the lower falls of the Yellowstone River in Yellowstone National Park, you'll see that water can do quite a number on materials. In this case, rock. It happens much faster, right, when it's something to do with our roof or our foundation. So these are important things to check out and make sure we have proper drainage, our gutters are working, our roof's not leaking, and all kinds of things like that. It's kind of a foundational step to being prepared to make your home more energy efficient, and it's a really essential step in terms of having a healthy home environment. So air sealing is a super big deal. And if you don't have a blower door and you're not having a home energy audit, you can still walk around your house, right? And you can feel where the gaps are coming. If you can see daylight between any of your exterior doors or windows or anything like that, you can feel the air coming. And this is a way you can figure out where and how to replace weather stripping, to do caulking around windows and trim, to put little foam insulators behind exterior receptacles and switches to keep some of that draft down between walls. And so you can find air sealing and caulking and different things like this, tools on websites like EPA.gov with its Home Performance with Energy Star website. It has a lot of really good stuff that I recommend looking at, and the US Department of Energy has a lot of really good stuff as well. but it's basically starting to find these leaks and then plug them. Now, I certainly would recommend an energy audit, but if it's not in the cards just yet, you can certainly find things where heat and or cooling is leaving the house before it's time, and you can do something about it. So that is it for that. And we have some checklists that we are going to share with you, and they will help you do your own audit at home and do some healthy homes thinking while you're there. And then I think we're going to try and share another link to a series of videos on the Missouri Botanical Garden website called Detox Your Domicile. And there, Gene Ponzi guides you through cleaning at home and all kinds of other interesting things. So now I want to share with George the floor so he can impart his wisdom as well, and then perhaps we can have a nice Q&A.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Richard. That's a great lead into what we do here at CAASTL. Just to give you a little quick background, a 30-second background on the Community Action Agency of St. Louis County. We are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We've been in existence for 52 years, and we only service St. Louis County. Our agency is a part of a national network that was created back in 1964, and it administers various programs on community level to assist low and moderate income families who may or may not be in poverty. Nationwide, Community Action Agency organization help 11.5 million people towards self-sufficiency. On an annual basis at CAASTL, we serve over 40,000 individuals. That's through our weatherization, light heat programs, energy assistance, and other programs. I won't go into all the programs. Feel free to go to our website and look. Currently, I think there's 24 programs that are administered through the Community Action Agency of St. Louis County. My title is Director of Housing and Support Services. So under my umbrella, one of the programs is a weatherization program, as well as the health and safety of homes. So I understand what Richard's talking about. Richard and I have known each other quite a while now. We worked side by side on some projects along with Paul Englert, who is with Spire. Matter of fact, Paul and I were on a Zoom yesterday evening about 5 o'clock. So we're very familiar. Currently, the weatherization program is administered by the Department of Natural Resources, Spire, and Ameren. All three of those agencies provide funding. Our agency receives in excess of $3 million annually to do the weatherization throughout St. Louis County only. And we only serve St. Louis County residents. A little bit different than what Richard talked about. And he talks about self-sufficiency, which I said was a self-assessment. We actually have 6 trained auditors, certified auditors on staff. Our staff comes out to the homes and they actually do the assessment themselves to determine what needs to be done to make that home more energy efficient. And Richard's absolutely right. Air filtration is a big part of that, along with the mechanical systems. On average right now, we're spending in excess of $9,000 per home through our weatherization program. Most homes end up getting new furnaces, some hot water tanks, some air conditioning. And then they get the infiltration. The infiltration could be is the air sealing component. That's insulation, and things of that nature, everything to reduce that airflow. Part of the weatherization program and health and safety benefits are significant. I mean, it's all a part of what we do. First thing we do when we go into a home is we install smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. That's the very first thing that our staff does before they do any assessments. I mean, even if they got ones existing, we replace those with new updated smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. And there's tremendous benefits of that. You see an absolute significant reduction through that air quality improvement with people who have asthma, hypertension. And at the end of the day, I mean, you know, it basically turned on average, they tell me nationally, it turns out to on average about $14,000 value per single household, meaning that those families, those people are able to go to school, go to work as a result of the energy measures that are done within their home. Again, the big difference in our program is that we actually come out and do the assessment ourselves for those eligible clients or customers. Anybody under 200% of poverty, we do it totally free. I mean, it's a free service. You can be a homeowner, you can be a renter, doesn't make any difference. If you're a landlord, the only thing that is required is that you allow our agency to perform the work. Does not cost a landlord a dime, does not cost a landlord anything to have the services done. And again, you think about it, I mean, I wish every day I could have somebody and come and do about $9,000 worth of improvements to my home. And it was totally free service. But that's where we are, and we're with the new administration in place. As Paul Engler and I have been talking, I'm sure him and Richard had the same conversation. There's a significant amount of additional funding we anticipate that's forthcoming to support this program. It's a tremendous benefit. We work very closely. Elderly people have take priority with us. Because we like to see them age in place. You know, seniors, we like to see them age in place. And a lot of times, because they're fixed incomes, you know, I mean, to have to replace a furnace, have to replace a hot water tank, can be costly. I mean, it can be costly. A power vented hot water heater is $1,500, $2,000. So we're able to replace those things for them. In addition, we do have some funds, thanks to Spire and Ameren, for some home repairs. So I understand exactly what Richard talks about when he says, where's the water coming in? We replace a lot of roofs. We replace a lot of roofs, we improve. And when we're replacing roofs, we do soffits, we do gutters, anything that we can do to keep water from penetrating the property and penetrating the home. So, you know, I've shared a couple of things, YouTube video and some flyers with Freddie. I think she'll send those out in an email with my contact information. We're here to serve the community. And like I said, we do on average 250, 300 homes a year throughout St. Louis County. So if you can imagine, I got a big territory. But I've got my other community action agency partners in St. Charles, Jefferson County, and the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis provides this service in the city of St. Louis. I appreciate it. I just saw an email from Paul. Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and feel free to contact me at any time. I'm sure Freddie will share my contact information. We're on 24/7. And be happy to help you and serve some of the persons that you may know that are in need of our assistance.
All right.
Thanks, guys. So one of the things that I'm just going to throw out an interesting question or fact or whatnot, and people can kind of comment on. But one of the things that I had found interesting is going to the Green Homes Festival. And, you know, I think of myself as, oh, I know everything. You know, I go to the energy seminars, I go to different events. And one of the things that I thought about myself is I don't need to get a home energy audit because I know everything that might be going on inside my house. I know the different things. Well, one of the great benefits is that until you actually get that home energy audit, you cannot actually take that off on your taxes, any of those home improvements in the state of Missouri. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do that after I have everything. And I found lots of different things inside of my house that I never would have expected. So I'm curious to kind of hear from the group if anybody else has experienced any kind of interesting things that they have found out through maybe their own sort of home energy auditing or their own self-auditing things that might have happened.
Yes, feel free to unmute yourselves, or you can also chat, type in the chat too, and we can talk for you, no problem.
Yeah. Well, let me just say that the first time I did an energy audit on my own house, so this is a case in which my do-it-yourself audit is also a professional audit because I have those credentials and skills and tools and equipment. I found that the air leakage in my home, which was built in 1893, equaled a 16-inch square window. So certainly in the middle of summer or winter, you would close such a window, right? So that was the sum total of all the cracks and crevices in all the little openings in my house that's 100 and whatever years old. And slowly, very slowly, in some cases, as my wife would surely tell you, starting to fill those up and make the changes and upgrades in equipment and in windows and in air sealing and insulation to basically close that window. And so it's a big deal in terms of airflow and comfort and reducing drafts in a house.
So George and Richard, would that be your like your first step, like your first action as a homeowner is to address that air?
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, that's the first step is, you know, the air filtration is a big issue. I mean, a big thing that happens. And if you, as Richard indicated, if you can stop that air filtration from coming in, seeping out, you know, your heat seeping out or, you know, unsecured windows, et cetera, door jams, et cetera, like he said earlier, anywhere you can see light, I mean, that has a tremendous impact in itself. Nationally, and from our records, we find that the average household, after weatherization surveys are performed, you know, their utility consumption is reduced to the amount of about $450 to $500 on an annual basis. So, you know, you think that's basically $40, $50 a month, the reduction in utilities, overall utility costs. So, I mean, there's some tremendous benefits, not only from a comfort standpoint, not only from a healthy homes perspective, but as well as for some, you know, potential tax advantages, as well as some cost savings.
Mm-hmm. And a couple of other things relative to healthy homes that aren't so directly associated or integrated with energy efficiency, but health important nonetheless, is just looking around for things like trip hazards, places where a handrail or a grab bar might come in handy. You know, looking for any item that would could possibly lead to a fall or other kind of injury, especially if you're in a house with kids or with older folks. So all those things are part of sort of integrating healthy homes and energy efficiency in ways that will make quality of life for buildings occupants, you know, it will enhance it, make it better.
So that's a really great point, Richard. And Hannah brought up a question, which is actually something that was brought up in my home energy audit of when you tighten that a space with all those leaks, it can sometimes create not the greatest airflow because of potential toxicity. So Hannah brings up, could you talk a little bit more about toxicity?
Well, sure. Indoor environmental quality or indoor air quality is super, super important. So while it could be possible to make your home too tight, but basically what we're trying to do is make your home have the right amount of tightness, and in many, many cases, make it as tight as possible, and then introduce managed outside air, managed fresh air. And this can be done in a variety of ways, including an energy recovery ventilator. And an energy recovery ventilator would take stale air from in the house, push it outside while bringing in, say in the winter, cold, fresh air, and they would bypass without touching. So the warmth of the stale air going out helps to warm up the fresh air coming in without contaminating it. And then it goes through a filter and then is introduced into the house. So what you have in that case is you're filtering out exterior dust and particles while you're bringing that fresh air in, right? You're cleaning it up before you bring it in, and then you're pushing out the stale air. So it's all about a balance of ventilation and energy efficiency to keep the indoor environment as healthy as possible. You know, it's not really so much that homes need to breathe, right? It's people need to breathe, and we live in homes. And so managing that outside air is a critical component of doing things. Most homes are so loose, as it were, so leaky, have so much air infiltration that it's way above what might be a concern if you tighten it up. Now, the advantage of using a home energy audit is that you'll be working with a professional who will tell you your home is just right. You don't need to add mechanical ventilation. Your home is way too has way too much air infiltration, so we need to tighten it up. And we can tighten it up and introduce managed outside air to make your home's indoor environmental quality, indoor air quality in really good shape. And this can be really important, critical path for people with respiratory issues. If it's COPD, asthma, allergies, things like that, this is a path that you're gonna be interested in going down. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
No,
So
yeah, Richard makes a great point, because that's one thing the energy audits do, because you can make a home too tight. You can make a home too tight where it basically can't breathe, and that inhibits the air quality for the resident. One of the things that we do, and in some cases, is that we put in what's called an ERV, or energy recovery ventilator. I think that's what Richard was referring to. And what that does, it provides a continuous circulation of fresh air in and out of the home. So, I mean, those persons, particularly for those persons who have respiratory issues, we will a lot of times put one of those in. They're not cheap, but they are really beneficial for those who have potential respiratory issues, and for everyone. But we do, through the blower door test, we can determine, because that's done initially when they come in the home to do an assessment, and it's done at the final after work is done. So we can determine at that time if that house is too tight and it needs some air. We've had to go back. We've made some homes too tight and had to go back in and put in vents and other measures in order to make that home breathe.
Mhm.
Great. I do know it's 10:30, but maybe we could squeeze in these last two questions regarding home energy audits. Anthony, are they all equal, or is there a particular thing we should be looking for when shopping for a home energy audit?
Relative to the tax credits that Brennan was talking about, the state of Missouri has a list of energy auditors that are registered with the state, and they're going to be BPI certified, Building Performance Institute certified auditors. And so if you work with one of those outfits, you'll be able to take the tax advantages, and they have a professionally certified auditor. There's a list on the Missouri Botanical Garden EarthWays Center website of home performance with Energy Star contractors who are all BPI certified auditors as well. And so I think that's the way to go, because there's a commitment there to professional best practices. And then I see Dave's question about not using AC. Can I go ahead with that one? Dave, there's, so back in the day before insulation and air conditioning, some of the best practices relative to trying to keep cool were double hung windows in which the hot air would go out the top, right? And come in, so functional double hung windows is a big deal. Awnings on southern exposures to limit direct sunlight into the house is a big deal. Deciduous trees on the southern side of a building to block out the sun in the summer and to let the warmth in the winter when the leaves drop is good. Similarly, conifers on the north side can help, ease some of that wind stuff all year round, whether it's hot or otherwise, or cold. And then, some of it has to do with maybe the kinds of glass that are in the windows, and there's all kinds of details and things that can be done about that. Similarly, in the summer, perhaps it's keeping drapes and blinds closed to minimize, right, that solar gain during the day. And so it's going to be a combination of things. If you think about what they were doing in 1850, right, those are kind of the best things that could be done in 2021. And then the other big deal is that, insulation is a big deal, and that wasn't a thing in 1850. But the other practices relative to awnings, window treatments, trees, all kinds of things like that can make the home, right? And you want cross ventilation, right? You want air to be able to come in on the leeward side and leave on the windward, or vice versa, right? You want that airflow to be able to move. So in an older home, for example, with this 1850 stuff, there would even be transoms in interior doorways in a Victorian era in which privacy was valued so highly, in order to allow that airflow from the front of a house to the back of the house. So that's another thing to think about, what kind of doors have to be closed that are blocking that kind of ventilation from one side of a building to the next, and can they be opened? I hope that helps a little bit.
George, do you have anything to add to any of those two questions before we wrap up?
Oh, we're on mute, George.
No. I mean, Richard knows much more about the air quality and energy assistance and all that than I do. He's BPI. I'm the director of housing and support program. I run the programs. So no. I mean, he answered them fully. I mean, it's a great service. It's a great opportunity. All people should take advantage of it. And I encourage everybody to, look at what Richard has shared. I see a lot of stuff in the chat that he's provided through EarthWays. I'm trying to hire him to do some work for me. so no, but all's good.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Mr. Robnett and Richard Reilly. We really appreciate you guys joining us this morning, discussing weatherization in healthy homes. And thank you all for joining us. I know we went over our 10:30 mark, so I appreciate you hanging around. There will be a follow-up email, and we'll include all these resource links that were just in the chat, and the recording of this coffee break presentation. So happy Friday. Have a great weekend.